Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Oh, yeah. Feel a reluctance today, just to give you fair warning. It's whatever the hell it is, February 6th. And it's a Tuesday. So, Susan.
Uh-oh.
I know. I've given you some really free Tuesdays of late, right? We've had fun. I just read something that got me so depressed. I can't even begin. So I don't know how to avoid reality today. I've got a few little things. You want to start easy or just jump right into the horror?
I'll follow your lead, dear sister.
Oh, God. Hey. Let me start. Let me start with a quote from a man who some would say was our greatest president, or certainly in the top three. That would be Abraham Lincoln. And I never heard this quote before, but I guess it was while he was doing a speech somewhere and before he was president. And he's talking about the storm clouds in the United States, right? This is pre-Civil War. And he's also talking about the fact that Americans are also looking to Europe and like other things. And he essentially says, that's not where the danger for us will ever be. He said, this is now Lincoln's words, shall we expect some transatlantic military giant to step the ocean and crush us at a blow? Never. All the armies of Europe, Asia, Africa combined, with all the treasures of the earth in their military chest, with a Bonaparte for a commander, could not by force take a drink from the Ohio or make a track on the Blue Ridge in 1,000 years. So at what point, then, is danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever comes, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. We must live as a nation of free men through all time, or die by suicide.
Well, suicide it is.
Yeah. And that's what I've been, everything I read today, all the news.
Sounds like is repeating that, yes.
Yes, is America just marching toward self-destruction? It is, it's inconceivable, it's unbearable, it's terrifying, it's all those things. And, you know, the thing is, I don't know how we're going to handle this this year.
Yeah, it's upon us.
It is upon us. I was reading the most unbelievably depressing thing that is here again. I mean, everywhere you look, this thing about the Republicans
just obeying Trump. Yeah.
Yes, and insisting that the border is the most important thing, and then being given a bill that does more. I mean, it does more of the things they were screaming about wanting than any bill ever has. It is an extraordinary gift to them by any measure. and they say no. So you got like this Democratic senator from Hawaii, Shat, saying, he's like I am. He can't even. He says they literally demanded this specific policy. They got it, and then they killed it. It's like they refuse to do anything that will help anything in this country because it would give Joe Biden a victory. They don't see it as a victory for America.
Right.
It's unbelievable. And Trump, the control he has by virtue of their cowardice and his clear intent for vengeance and retribution, and the brown shirts and thugs that he commands. It's
they're just afraid of him. I mean, they're just a bunch of cowards. They're terrified of him.
They're terrified. I think it was, I don't know, somebody said, I read today, it's like the Republicans are like all in a car being driven by a lunatic speeding toward the edge of a cliff. They are terrified, but none of them will like say to the driver, hey, slow down.
Slow down.
They can't because they're scared to death. Jeez.
You know, it's appalling. The only bright spot is that they're turning on each other. So, like, that awful Carrie Lake. Did you see that she was roundly booed? I mean, it was so loud in this mega church that the booing could be heard outside. And it's because none of them trust her because she had the Republican leader of Arizona.
She took him down.
Yeah, she took him down. She recorded him. So
she recorded him and then led him into a trap where it makes him sound like he's trying to fix the. It is. These people are. They're criminals. They're criminals.
Well, so she cooked her own goose. She stepped too far over the line, even for them.
Well, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's whatever.
No, there's nothing good to say. I'm desperately thrashing around.
Yeah. Okay. Here's David French in the New York Times. This era of American politics will end one way or the other, and when it does, historians are likely to debate whether its defining characteristic was stupidity or malice. He says, I've gone back and forth in my own mind, but I now realize that the two traits have almost fully merged. Malice is creating stupidity, and stupidity is creating malice. I don't even know if he's even close to what this is, but it is, as Lincoln suggested, it is suicide.
Yeah. And they don't care. They don't really care.
Well, it's not just them. It's, I'm looking now that Michigan is, getting iffy for Biden because of his support for Israel and their huge Arab American population. And then it occurs to me, so all of these people and younger people who don't like his position
are willing to trade it for what?
For Trump. Yeah,
for Trump.
For an anti-Muslim bigot of the greatest stature. The guy who says he will keep he wanted to keep any Muslim from entering the country.
Right, and they'll vote for him.
Let him.
They're going to come. He'll come for them.
This rapist, all the, it is beyond belief that everybody's lost their mind. If you only vote for somebody who agrees with you on everything, you'll never vote. unless you run yourself.
No, that's the very definition of the perfect is the enemy of the
good.
Of the good.
Of the good. Because and so I just have to. The polls are showing, you know, I don't care about polls, but they are frightening right now.
Yeah, I don't look at the polls.
They are frightening right now.
Yeah, I do not. Every time people start talking about these things, I can just feel my blood pressure go up because to me, it's so simple. We've got a choice. So we've got a really clear binary choice. The country survives or the country doesn't survive. That's your choice. And I can't see voting for the country doesn't survive. How do you do that?
You know, and here again, you can't have a. I'm sorry, an email interrupted my train of thought. You can't have a democracy if the people who supposedly are in power ultimately through the vote, if the people don't care what's really happening, if they don't, if they're not serious, if
they have no fundamental understanding of what their life will be like without our country.
Don't. Yeah, well, and they don't. I just, oh my God, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very scary.
Yeah. My one of my go-to guys, Tom Nichols in the Atlantic, says we are heading into probably the most. He calls it weird. That's one of a million adjectives that would be correct. The weirdest presidential election in our history. But he says, "Hey, let me see if you know this, because I'm not sure. I haven't checked if I'm right. Let me find it." He talks about the weird election of 19. Why can't I find it? I can't find it. So fuck. Anyway, there it is. 1976. Okay. 1976, Susan.
Yes. Good year.
An obscure former Georgia governor, that'd be Jimmy Carter, of course, ran against a sitting president whom no one had actually elected.
Ford.
Yes. For you. And then here's the part that threw me. And I think I got the answer, but I'm not sure. The vice president at the time was also an unelected appointee. So you had a Georgia former governor.
Right, I'm trying to remember who that was.
That's right.
Agnew got thrown out.
That's right.
And who came back on?
I think I know.
I don't.
Here's what. Nelson Rockefeller?
Was it? Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. That doesn't.
Was it Ford Rockefeller? Who was it? Somebody help me here.
Yeah, I'm Googling it. I'm asking Mr. Google.
Yeah.
Bureau Agnew, boy, he seem quaint.
he actually went to jail. That is back.
You were right, Nelson Rockefeller.
Yeah. Oh, and did you watch that thing about Truman Capote and the Swan?
I haven't yet because I keep trying.
Well,
Mother won't watch anything, so you know.
Okay, well, don't bother. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I was looking forward to it. Is it terrible?
All right, well then do. But I don't know. But one of the people depicted in it very unfavorably is Happy Rockefeller.
Yeah.
You remember that was Nelson?
Yeah, I remember Happy.
Wife.
So she wasn't.
Oh my God, she was. Well, the Swans hated her, and there's a scene. She had an affair with Babe Paley's, who's the biggest swan.
Right.
Babe Paley's
that's
husband.
Okay, right.
Happy Rockefeller, and that whole scene is so grotesque you cannot even. It involves menstrual blood. You cannot believe it. But I'm thinking, geez, Happy Rockefeller, and in that article that Capote wrote for Esquire magazine, he outed Happy Rockefeller and Bill Paley, and a lot of other things too, which created the break between him. It's so full of the worst people in the world. I mean, these awful rich people who do nothing. And Truman Capote, who has always made what a vile little piece of work. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
So you're just cheery all over.
I am not in a good state. Poor Kevin, who is on the other end of this show. Poor Kevin texted me right before the show, "Good morning."
And what did you say? What do you mean by that?
I could only manage. I wrote back, "I hope." So here's something good. Do you remember there was a crusty old Republican senator back in the day when you could dislike the way they voted, but you could sort of like grudgingly like them and, think they're okay people?
Yeah.
His name was, I think, was it Al Simpson? Dan Simpson? Al Simpson. I don't know. Dan, whatever. He was a big, tall, rangy guy, I think from, I wanted to say Montana, but in fact it's Wyoming because I just found the thing I'm looking for. And he says this. He calls Trump a charlatan. He says, "Make America great again, my butt." He's not for America. He's for himself. And he was asked, "Well, would you vote for Biden?" He said, "I'll vote for anybody with some kind of compassion. Who else you going to vote for God's sake?"
Well, that's exactly right.
Yes, that's exactly right. Now, that is a conservative Republican. Republicans aren't conservative anymore. They're radical fascists. They're anti-democrats. Oh,
they're anti-democrats. I mean, democracy.
Anti-democracy.
They're anti-women.
Yeah.
They're anti-people of color. They're anti-anybody that's not them.
White Christian.
Speaking of which, everybody's still blown over by the Tracy Chapman thing. They're writing articles about how the people reacted to it because that's the America they want to see.
A gay black woman,
a queer black woman and a white guy looking at each other with such respect and joy, creating harmony. I mean, it just spoke to everybody.
Well, I started the show yesterday by saying that I have an earworm of fast cars in my head. I still do. And that's because I must have watched the video about 8 times yesterday. And I'll watch it. It's now my favorite video of all time.
It was always one of my favorite songs.
Watch. It is so, her voice is mind-blowing. She is mind-blowing. Somebody said, "My God, look at how beautiful she looks."
She is so beautiful.
And then someone, I think on Twitter, said, "I think I found the elixir for not for a woman not aging." just don't have anything to do with men. Look at how beautiful she is.
Yeah. It was she was so filled up herself. I mean, that was part of it. The tears in her eyes at the reaction that she got.
I know.
Tears spraying to her eyes immediately, which is why everybody started crying. Everybody. I've never cried 3 times in a damn Grammy show. What the hell was that?
Yeah.
Although I know you've already talked about this, but I'm just going to say my 2 cents worth. They're putting too many words in songs these days. I was listening to all of the ballads because it was one ballad after the next, basically, that they were performing. And everyone, it was like reading the dictionary for each verse. Too many words. I understand you're telling me a story, and that's the style right now, but way too many words.
Well, that might be the impact also of rap.
Well, it is the impact of rap.
Well, so it's made its way into popular music. So you just talk fast and blah, 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 whatever. I don't know. Popular music has never been.
Well, I actually watch the show so that I have a sense of where popular music is, because otherwise I don't know.
Right. That's exactly what I did. And I thought that Grammy show was fantastic. I said that Grammy show should win an Emmy.
Yeah, it should. And the reaction that
good entertainment.
Mother and I were eating dinner, and I had turned on. I put us in our television room, and I said, "Let's watch the red carpet, Mom." And I turn it on. And the first thing we see is naked Miley Cyrus, and Mother just starts screaming, "Oh my God, that's disgusting! She's naked!" I'm like, yeah, but look at her body, my God!
I know, the body is unbelievable.
At that point, I decided she must have a sheer body stocking on underneath that, because there was not a line or a crack or a bulge or a belly button to be seen.
Nah, I don't know, because you see all her
you
tattoos.
did see tattoos, but I'm telling you, she her body couldn't possibly have been that long.
Yes, it could. This is how superficial we are these days. I mean,
I'm over they're all coming out naked, because they're all coming out naked. So now I'm just looking, should you be naked? And yeah, Miley Cyrus looked pretty damn good.
I mean, she was. Yeah, it was.
It was not unpleasant body. Because it was a beautiful body.
A beautiful body.
Yeah, nothing was actually showing, and she and I don't particularly care one way or the other about her, but I did think it was so cute how delighted she was to win.
Yeah, I know. Those are I know.
All right, so enough. You talked about it already.
I talked about it, and I don't know. Back to
I'm trying to crawl out of the ooze.
We got a U.S. Senator from Ohio, one J.D. Vance.
Oh, great! That picks up the tone.
Yes, who was arguing with George Stephanopoulos that a president, the Constitution allows a president to defy the Supreme Court, which is
nonsense.
It's nonsense. It is setting up what they will do if he gets in. It's setting up a dictatorship.
That's right. Separation of powers exists to keep the branches each under control.
God almighty.
I mean, it's just like Netanyahu trying to get trying to say the Supreme Court doesn't have power over him. I mean, it's the exact same thing. They're passing around their little playbook.
My God. Well, the Supreme Court of Israel said, bullshit, buddy. And now, the people of Israel so want him gone. Oh, God.
Well, how could you not? The whole world wants him gone. He's jeopardizing everybody.
Oh. And I don't want to talk. I can't.
No, I know.
I can't.
Well, that's more of it. Where do you stand? How can you stand when everybody is working their hardest to stink up the joint?
It's really something.
And I'd like to point out it's mostly white men that are doing this, that are working very, very, very hard to destroy our world.
Yeah.
And I'm about to say to men, hey, get yourselves in control. I mean, we ask whole groups to take their, to all you Muslims, you take care of all of those terrorists among your ranks. Well, white men, you do the same thing.
Yeah. Get busy. God knows you got a lot of work to do. So,
and by the way, white women, because we got our Marjorie Taylors and our Boberts and all that.
I got to tell you, this thing that the Republicans in Congress are doing today is we need to remember this.
That they're impeaching Mayorkas?
No, this is one of, no. That's, more their performative bullshit, do nothing stuff. It's this refusal to even bring this border bill with the Ukraine aid to the floor.
Well, as I read this morning, how stupid do you have to be told that we have this crisis? They're coming in to murder us, but we'll handle it next year. We don't want to handle it right now.
Exactly.
We're going to handle it next year. You can't hold both thoughts in your hands at the same time. So there's got to be a point.
The house is on fire. The house is on fire. But I'm sorry.
We'll wait until next. Yeah, we'll wait until March. A year from March.
Take care of it. Yeah. So here are just some of the quotes from people who know. Ann Applebaum, who's a foreign affairs journalist. She said, she's thinking about the Ukraine aid. People will die today because of the cynical game being played by the Republicans.
They're killing people all over the world.
No, their irresponsibility is breathtaking. And here again, Tom Nichols, my guy, letting Ukraine fall because of Republicans' cultish loyalty to Donald Trump will be a betrayal that will stain America forever.
Oh, breaking news.
Probably end up pulling us into a fight for Europe later. This is one of those rare moments when the path to disaster is clearly marked and avoidable, and they're taking us right into it. What breaking news, Susan?
Trump has no immunity from January 6th prosecution appeals court rules.
Thank God. My God. There was this one of the three judges on that court was stalling, was trying to help him. Thank God. Was it two of the three or all three?
Unanimously.
Thank God. Well, now
for the purpose of this criminal case, former President Trump has become Citizen Trump with all of the defenses of any other criminal defendant, but any executive immunity that may have protected him while he served as president no longer protects him against this prosecution.
Thank God. But now he will, let's be clear, he will take that to the Supreme Court.
Of course.
And the Supreme Court, his court, has no other possible ruling than to agree, or
they can just kick it away.
If they really want to stop helping him with the stalling tactics, they can refuse to hear it, which lets it stand.
It just drops like a thud, which cowards that they are, I'm thinking they'll do.
And now this is at Chutkan's. This is Smith. This is so the Jack Smith case
can proceed.
Can proceed. I would think. So anyway, we'll be getting that. Oh, that's good. Thank God we got a little good news there. God. With all this love for Tracy Chapman, by the way, you know what I found out today?
What?
She was never voted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If I were to name to you some of the people in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, And you would say, really? And Tracy Chapman's not there? No, she ain't. Just want to say.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't have the huge long career with the multiple albums that other people had, but every single
it doesn't matter.
Every single thing that she did was just incredible.
Yeah. Oh, Trump could even do, this was a 3-judge panel. He could also say he wants the whole Court of Appeals.
Well, he could do that, and my guess is that they'll just pretty quickly say, no, we mean it.
Well, Jesus, God hope. Oh, my.
I mean, after a while, the law is what the law is, and a sitting judge has to look at the law and apply it. I know that they haven't been doing that real well, but it's a matter of how humiliated they want to be. How willing they are to just stand up there and say, no, I know that you're looking at a paper that appears to be black and white, but it's green and yellow.
Well, I'll tell you, the judge that's got the Mar-a-Lago, case is clearly
pro-Trump.
Just running interference for him.
Oh, sure.
It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
And her reputation is being appropriately sullied.
Yeah. Well, fuck her, her reputation. I want to save the goddamn country.
Me too.
Oh,
this is how an optimist thinks, Lynn. An optimist thinks there's a future. And in it, she'll be humiliated.
Well, I was reading something that optimism by itself is, that there's a difference between optimism and hope.
Well, okay. I'm more hopeful.
Yeah, and I'll even on occasion be hopeful because if you aren't, you've given up.
Right.
I
couldn't go on.
Yeah, I am not an optimist, but I
don't. If an optimist thinks everything's always going to be okay, that I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person that thinks everything isn't going to be okay, but we'll manage to bob along anyway. Which is, I think, the point of life. I mean, that's what life is. Ain't all good.
Okay.
You have to just keep bobbing along anyway.
Okay, I got 2 things here that'll, not be horrible. So,
okay.
Saved them for some relief here. I so love this. Did you see? It's a fundraiser for an animal shelter in New Jersey.
No.
And it's a specific promotion for Valentine's Day. And what they are saying is if you are newly single, you've broken up with your boy or girlfriend, you just got a divorce or you're separated, we're looking at you. If you give us $50 for the shelter, we will name a feral cat after your ex, and then we will neuter it.
I'm sending him $50 just for making me laugh.
Isn't that the best?
Even talking about animals cheers you up. That I will. Okay, excuse me, everyone. I have to tell a grandmother story. I got a call last night from my daughter, who just needed to tell me that her daughter and her husband were driving to school that morning, preschool or daycare actually, and she's 2.5, and she's been missing my dog very much, Ernie.
Who died.
And yeah, she's been missing Ernie. And so out of nowhere, she says to her father, they've just been driving along, and she goes, I think we need to buy Nana a cat.
Oh.
And my son-in-law says, well, I think she wants a dog. And she said, well, it'll have to be a much smaller dog.
Well, she's really been thinking.
She's really worried about me. She wants me to have an animal. And this is what, I mean, even a 2-year-old can understand how important an animal is to life. And she thinks it's wrong that I'm living without one right now.
Yeah.
So that's just a story that 2-year-olds can have empathy and think and appreciate all the wonders of the universe.
Yeah.
Okay. That's how bad it is. I'm telling grandmother stories.
Well, that was a very nice story. Now I have this. It does involve Nikki Haley. I'm sorry, but it does. Do you know what her real name is?
Was something that she decided we couldn't pronounce? What?
I don't know. It's Nimarata.
Mm-hmm.
Very pretty. Nimarata.
Yeah. And because Americans would react to that, she's got to be Nikki.
She goes by Nikki, right? And she has always gone by Nikki. She says it's on her birth certificate, but her, I don't know, Nimarata is her name. And of course, you know who made fun of that.
Oh, of course, because it's
a foreign
sounding.
Right. But it's a story about her husband's name. And when she met him and he introduced himself as Bill Haley, she said, "You just don't look like a Bill." Which is a hell of a thing to say to somebody, isn't it? That's a very forward.
She doesn't look like a Nikki for that matter.
Yeah. You just don't look like a Bill. What's your whole name? And he said, my name is William Michael Haley. And in her memoir, she says, from that point on, I called him Michael. And all my friends did the same. So she's met this guy, and he's always been Bill to his family. She calls him Michael. And she says in the memoir, before we knew it, he was universally known as Michael. Everyone who knew him before I did knows him as Bill, and everyone who met him after I did knows him as Michael. He looks like a Michael.
Hey.
That strikes you as controlling?
I think that's controlling and disrespectful and dismissive of so many people all at once that it's awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
How did are his parents alive? How did she go to his parents and say, well, you goofed, so me and mine, we're calling him Michael.
I didn't know how to. I just saw whoa, and it says Mr. Haley. This is Mr. Haley even went by Michael in the South Carolina newspaper's bridal registry announcement, and he continues to go by Michael. He has done what he's Michael now. He lost Bill, killed Bill. So the fact is that a lot of people do go, that's his middle name. I go by my middle name.
And my son goes by his middle name.
That's right.
And every girl in my husband's family, their first name, all the girls were named Mary. They all had the same first name. So they all went, there was a Mary Victoria, Mary Suzanne, and Mary Christina. So it's Vicky, Susie, and Tina.
Just saying to the audience, you don't think they were Catholic, do you? God almighty. So this was in an article, and it blew me away that she had that kind of effrontery, but also that he gave way to it. But as someone who goes by my middle name. Now,
but it was your choice.
It was my choice.
What you call yourself is your choice.
Yes, but absolutely. But I always felt I didn't have, of all the names that I could use, I didn't like any of them. Now, if I'd really known my power, I could have, picked a name I really liked that seemed to fit.
Well, neither one of us got a name that we liked. I didn't get the name that I would have preferred.
No. Well, our dad, God bless him, screwed us both up. He named me after his mother, Ida. And then when you came along, Mom said, I'd like to name her Sarah, which is such a beautiful name.
Such a pretty name.
And he says, oh, that's so old-fashioned. The guy who named me Ida.
And then they named me Susan. And to make me even more exotic, I got Beth as my middle name. And then there was the Miller part. So there I was, Susan Beth Miller, which is why my name is now Susan Nutzel, because I would have taken anything to get out of that boat. I think there were 45 of me in Green Bay alone.
This article goes on to say it's normal for couples and families to refer to one another by nicknames or totally different names as a way to show affection or reflect a close bond or pay homage to an ancestor or something. And this is all in regard to this article. And then they have, it ends with this psychologist saying, but to tell someone to change their name because of your personal preference, that's a big ask. And she had no problem making it.
She didn't ask.
Which suggests, here's what I want to say, that she does possess
authoritarian instincts.
I was going to put a nicer leader. That's a leadership. Like she just takes command. Okay. So there's no she's not a shrinking violet.
No, never thought she was, but I find that disrespectful, dismissive, and inappropriate. But I mean, I called my husband Bear, but he was, and it rhymed with Air, which is also what I called him.
Air Bear.
Yeah.
Well, we all call. I don't know why. I call my son P.
Right. Oh, I called I called my daughter P too.
P, and I think it came. I don't remember where it came from, but I think it maybe when he was a little teeny baby, I called him Peanut, and then that gets shortened to P.
Right. That's how I got to be Goobers.
I know Goobers. And our brother calls his wife Ape.
Yeah, right? Which I always sort of winced.
Well, no, but it was an affection. These
totally
are all,
affectionate.
And I know that people listening are thinking of all the crazy little affectionate names that they have. And what's in a name? And according to this linguist, who's the president of the American Name Society, names are at the center of a person's identity.
Yeah. So she just meets this man and she says, I don't care who you are, but you're not who you think you are. I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah.
And he goes along with it. So that tells you two things. He likes to take orders.
He also might have been madly in love with her. And
not at the first meeting?
Well, I don't know if it was the first. I think she'd been introduced to him before, but when I don't know. It has to be near the beginning. I don't know. And just staying with her for a second, I saw that her house was the target of 2 swatting incidents. And in one, her old parents are the only ones in the house, and police banged on the door with guns drawn. So that when they opened, can you imagine?
No.
And she's quoted as saying, that's what happens when you run for president. And I'm thinking, no, That's what happens when you run for president
against Trump.
Donald Trump and his brown shirt. And I have been wondering why this swatting crap, which can end up with people being killed, can also end up with people needing the police, not having access to the police.
Because they're otherwise engaged. Yeah.
Yes, and I wonder why I keep hearing about these incidents, but not hearing about any arrests.
Well, there was one arrest.
There just was. That's what I wanted to talk about. And it turned out to be a 17-year-old
boy.
Boy, of course. In California. And he has now been charged as an adult on 4 felony counts. Falsely reporting an act of terrorism, and I don't know what the other one is. But he called in swatting incidents all over the country. So they don't even know all of them. He called it a Jewish children's hospital, several historically black colleges. The one that they got him on was a mosque in Florida. And he's been extradited, the little twerp, from California to Florida and is being held without bond.
He's going to spend a bunch of years in prison for this. I mean, you know.
Good.
They got him dead to rights.
This is how you stop it. You find the ones who've done it up to this point, and you put them away. I think that would have a pretty good deterrent effect. I don't know how hard it is to find, but it would seem that, I mean, they could use a burner phone, call it in from a pay phone if you could find one.
There isn't such a thing.
There's got to be somewhere. Anyone know where a pay phone is? And what would it cost?
No, there's no pay phones anymore.
They're not. Anyway, the FBI considers swatting. This is calling in a false report of a major crime taking place. A form of harassment. Well, of course, that's a form of harassment. It's more than that. And there's been a huge increase in swatting.
It's causing the police to assault you.
Yes, exactly. I mean, they might want to do it anyway, but yeah, that's what happens. Gee.
Well, they got the little twerp, so don't think,
that's one little twerp. Yeah.
There's just, we have created a whole bunch. It's like Trump went out and deputized all these people, and they think they're in the right, or at least they have permission.
Oh, yeah, they do. They have permission. And did you see there was this, some Republican woman in the House I never saw before, just calmly talking into a mic at some hearing and saying that what happened on January 6th was patriotic, was not an insurgency. And I mean, I'm sitting and she looks like a normal human being.
Well, the amazing thing is there were just millions of us that sat there and witnessed it.
Watched. Yeah.
And so we know what we saw. I don't even have to describe it. I'm just going to say, we know what we saw. You can call it whatever you want. It wasn't a daffodil. It was an insurrection.
Okay.
And otherwise, you might ask, why were you hiding underneath your desk?
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, Stefanik was, there's video of her crouched down, trying to get under a seat. And now she thinks they're hostages.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Maybe
Some
they all have
people,
Stockholm syndrome. You never know.
you know, they're just, it's either, in her case, it's just naked ambition. And otherwise,
In all of their cases, all of these people
ambition and fear.
yeah.
Unbelievable. Okay, Susan, back to your former home state of Missouri, or misery, as I like to call it.
Misery. That's what a lot of people call it.
Yeah, I bet. So that's pretty much controlled by COP. And
Pretty much.
I don't know if you saw this, that one of the state senators there, a guy named, let's find his name, it should live in infamy. Shore. He, of course, is a member of the Missouri Freedom Caucus.
Oh yeah, those guys.
Yeah, they're true patriots.
Yeah, they live to take away women's rights and stuff, and poor people's rights.
Yeah, he has proposed an amendment to the Missouri Constitution, and here's just some of what that amendment says. If a senator's honor is impugned by another senator to the point that it is beyond repair, and in order for the offended senator to gain satisfaction, such senator may rectify the perceived insult to the senator's honor by challenging the offending senator to a duel.
Oh, good. They're just out and out crazy now. I hope they do. I hope they start shooting each other.
The duels will take place in the well of the Senate at the hour of high noon on the date agreed to by the parties to the duel. This is an elected senator in the Missouri legislature.
Yeah, the people that gave you Josh Hawley.
You know, but I'm saying, I point this out to say that whoever elected him, they'd probably reelect him. If you
yeah, they probably would.
And say they think it's great. You know, and again, it's this. They get paid. I mean, taxpayer dollars pays these Republicans to do nothing but perform. They pass no legislation.
No, they don't do anything except perform. Right.
Yeah, that's it.
Call Andy Cohen. They think they're on Bravo.
Okay. Just want to say the Parisians, you know, the mayor of Paris, the woman, and a socialist, and she's the one who got rid. She keeps figuring out how to have these sort of like special referenda that nobody votes in, so she manages to get things done. So she got all the public electric scooters banned.
Good.
Because she said they were, you know, causing accidents and taking over
I can
the
open,
sidewalk.
honestly, when I'm in Chicago, I can open my front door and find 2 or 3 of them lashed to my little garden fence.
Yeah. I used to find exactly.
I get mad. They're
on the road here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anyway, they have now. She's done a second one, and this passed as well, but only less than 6% of all eligible voters went to the polls. But what they did, the ones that did, they approved a measure that drastically increases the parking fees for sport utility vehicles.
Yay!
I mean, huge. The fee for a regular little car, high as hell in Paris. Anyway, the let me see. People with an SUV would have to pay a little more than $19 for the first hour of parking in central Paris. A little bit less in the outer neighborhoods, but triple the normal rate. And so drivers of an SUV in Paris will end up paying more than $240 for 6 hours of parking in central Paris.
Well, if
you want to get rid of them,
taxes and fees have been used to model behavior since the institution of taxes and fees. That's what it's for.
That's right.
If you want to discourage that kind of vehicle in your city center, you just make it too expensive to use it.
But here's the thing. Paris, the people who own those big things are rich. And there are exceptions for people who need them because of a disability or, there's reasonable exceptions. But if you're a regular person driving around, she's saying it makes no sense. These are gas guzzlers. They kill pedestrians and other people.
They knock people. I mean, one of them knocked my son off his bicycle just by running into the back of him.
Yeah. So I do want to say that parking for 6 hours in Paris with a little tiny car
should be expensive anyway. It would be expensive in Chicago.
$80. I don't know if it's that high. $80.
Oh yeah, it is that high. That's $20 an hour. That's reasonable.
So people pay. This is all reasonable if you have a good public transit system.
Right.
Now, Chicago has a good public transit system.
And those fees are instituted. Well, they sold off the parking, so now it's just pure greed. But they are high to keep cars out of Chicago.
Yeah. So I just want to say that, I hate SUVs, and I don't understand. You see, like one little woman sitting in one.
Well, that's what I don't like, and usually that way. Excuse me for saying that, but frequently these little women don't understand the size of their vehicle or how to drive it, or how to drive it at least in a way that they don't make it impossible for everybody around them. It just drives me nuts. They're just driving around with, I'm bigger than you, and I'm just going to handle it that way.
Yeah, I don't understand why people think they need those big friggin' cars. And
well, go to California and everybody's driving a pickup truck. I mean, and you see, who's that big pickup truck in the driveway next to me? It's two 70-year-old people. What do they need a pickup truck for?
I don't know. What they need is a boat.
Yes, they do. I've been checking in all of my friends who have moved to sunny California.
Yeah, see if they're still there. Or have you been washed out to sea?
Well, one of them said it was 8 inches of rain yesterday.
Yeah. It's like they had a year's full of, remember just a few years ago we were talking about the terrible drought?
Well, they aren't in drought. I mean, that is the good news. The reservoirs are filling.
Yes. But, yeah. Anyway. All right. That's it. We done did it.
Okay. Yeah. It's good news when you can flush your toilet in California. That should be the name of a song.
Well, somebody can write it. Just don't use too many words if you want Susan to like it. All right.
No, if you want Susan to know what it's about. Anyway, okay.
Okay, thanks, Susan.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye.
Bye. Bye. And you guys, I'm thinking that's it for me. I hope to be in a better state tomorrow, but how the hell that happens, I don't know, given that this is just going to keep on keeping on. Hey, hey, hey. I'm going out into that blue sky. Looks like a definite mood enhancer. Have a good one.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.